It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. And we are so happy you join us every weekend. If you have a question that's been kicking around in your brains, all you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com. While you're there, you click on the Contact Us button, and then a form will pop up. You write out your question, and of course, if you'd like to join us on the air live, you just check off that box and Mark, the producer, the best executive producer in the world, by the way, he will do everything else. Now, while you're on the website, I encourage you to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. Mark compiles all the stories you may have missed during the week, and every Friday, you get an email in your inbox, and you'll get a little bit of, a warm-up to the weekend conversations that we have. Also on the website, you can subscribe to our news service, new-ish, I guess, at this point, Jill on Money Live. That's where you have access to quarterly live webinars and lots of cool special bonus interviews that we put behind the paywall. So for $35, gets you a whole year. And Mark claims that he's going to raise the price next year. So you probably want to get in now while the getting's good. All right. So let's start off the program. This is so much fun because I love when we have a couple that come and join us on the show. Right now, we are talking to Donnie and Marie. Yes, Donnie and Marie from New York. So Marie, I welcome you and I appreciate the name. Did you watch the Donnie and Marie show when you were growing up?
I would have to say I did. It was definitely on a 70s rotation in my house.
When you compare it to other 70s show, you can't believe that was actually popular. But if you had to choose on a desert island, what would be your 70s show to bring?
The Brady Bunch, for sure.
That was your show.
Yeah.
You know what my show was? It's crazy. I was a huge Odd Couple fan, which doesn't actually stand up so well, but it was pretty fabulous.
Yes.
Should we let Donnie talk?
Sure.
Donnie, were you watching Donnie and Marie, your namesake?
No, definitely not my cup of tea. That country singing was not me. I was more of a rocker.
Oh, really? What's your 70s rock band? Let's go.
70s rock band was Van Halen.
Oh, of course. I was a disco queen. I still love disco. I'm not ashamed of it. I loved it. I loved it all the way. All right. So let's get off of this because we're going to be talking about music the whole time. What brings you to our airwaves? So let us know, Marie, what prompted you to write?
So recently, as we have been listening to the show, we heard you both talking a lot about maximizing your Roth ability to contribute. And we wanted to do a checkup on that because I am approaching 50 and know that there's an opportunity to boost a little bit more, start putting more to the Roth, and whether we should pull back on 403B and kind of really plan for the next, let's say, 5.5 years because we're hoping for retirement in that time.
All right. Okay. So you said you're approaching 50. So
Correct.
You're how old? 49 or like 47?
Nope, I'm 49.
Okay. So you're 49 and Donnie is how old?
57.
57?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you both working full time?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about earnings. How much do you guys earn right now?
Total annual earnings, both of us, is $265,000.
So are you both putting money into retirement?
No, only Marie does through her job. I do not have a vehicle through my job, and we try to maximize her potential to do it.
Okay, great. So, Marie, are you putting in $22,500 right now, the limit under the age of 50?
Correct. In both a 403B and a Roth 457.
Oh, so wait a second, you're doing 45?
Correct.
You're amazing, you guys.
I like to hear you say that.
That's great. No, that's a big chunk of money, dude. That's a lot. How much is in each of those accounts? The 403B, how much is in there right now?
The 403B has $623,000 balance, and the 457 is at $79,000.
Is there a Roth 403B option?
So there is, but I work in a school district, and it's not the same one that I started in. So in each successive move that I made, I just kind of stayed with, what I had. And at that time, there was no offering of a Roth 403B. But the current school district that I'm in does offer that option.
Okay. And you think you're going to stay in this district for a while, or
this will be the end of my career? Yeah.
Final destination.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. That's really not good. In addition to the Roth and the 403B, any other money that you have saved, for example, in a traditional IRA or a SEP IRA or our brokerage account, anything else invested?
Sure. We have probably another $400,000 to $500,000 in between rollover IRAs, a 401k, and traditional IRAs.
Okay. So, Marie,
Yes.
will you be entitled to a pension?
I sure will.
Oh, yeah.
And I love when you say that. That's a great thing.
It's so good. Tell me about the pension benefit. What does it look like?
As of right now, without any additional increase in earnings, which will happen over the next 5 years, but as of right now, for a baseline, we'll be coming home with $84,000 from her teaching pension annual, another $5,000 for her part-time job. I get $8,000 a year from an old pension.
Is this at her age 55?
Yes.
Okay. And are you already receiving the $8,000 pension, or are you waiting to start that?
No, we'll start that at 63 when I'm 63 and she's 55.
Okay. But this is really the game plan. When she's 55, you're 63, you retire, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Now, we've just done a quick back of the envelope that at that time you'll have almost $100,000 a year in income, right? Is that enough for you?
It's close. We would look at supplementing that with my Social Security at 62.
Let me ask you a few more questions before we go into that. Do you guys have cash on hand?
Yes, we currently have $81,000 in cash on hand.
Okay. And any non-retirement investment accounts?
No.
Okay. How much would you guess your house is worth?
Our assets for our house, it's about $375,000, and we have a current mortgage on it that is a balance of
66.
Wow. When is that mortgage balance paid off approximately? It sounds like you're at the end of the line on that.
February of 28.
We'll get back to Donnie and Marie in just a second. If you would like to join us with or without your partner, hey, all you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. If it works for you, we would love for you to join us on the air because we can ask a lot of follow-up questions. And that's why we love to encourage you to come on the air live with us. Again, JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. There's a little box at the bottom of the form that says, would you be willing to come on the air live? If you say yes, Mark does everything else. The Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we like to talk to you every single weekend about whatever's on your mind. If you have a financial question, or it's just a bigger, broader question about something going on in your life that has a financial implication. We've been talking to a lot of people who are thinking about what to do about their housing situation. Maybe you're looking for a house and you feel frustrated. Maybe you're worried about downsizing, but you can't really find what you want. How can you stay where you are? How can you preserve that really low mortgage interest rate? All these kinds of questions come up from time to time, and you don't have to struggle with them on your own. All you need to do is go to our website. That is JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, and you tell us a little bit about what's going on, and we will happily try to parse it out with you. Now, if it works for you, we would love for you to join us on the air because we can ask a lot of follow-up questions. And I think that's really where the fun of the show is created, are these conversations with you. We learn about you. You tell us about what's been happening, and often we can ask some other questions that maybe you haven't even thought about or raise other issues. So that's why we love to encourage you to come on the air live with us. Again, JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. There's a little box at the bottom of the form that says, would you be willing to come on the air live? If you say yes, Mark does everything else. Right now, let's get back to Donnie and Marie from New York. Are you saying that you could live on, when you say almost 100, does that mean you're saying we're not paying the mortgage, then that $97,000 or so will cover most of our expenses?
So if we don't move out of New York State and Marie's pension's being protected from New York State tax, we will definitely have enough to live because we won't have to buy any real estate and be able to live there. But our plan is to relocate to Florida.
Why? Look at me. I'm whining. Did you hear that whine? I don't like when New Yorkers move to Florida. I'm just going to say, because we want you to stay here in the Empire State.
Marie's parents have a second, third home down there, and we're going to be close by, relatively.
Okay. So let's work that through a little bit. Tell me about what a relocation will do in terms of you're going to have essentially, let's just call it like a net 320. Let's just say it's 300,000. Are you going to have to spend more than $300,000 on a new place in Florida?
Absolutely. I feel with everything that I looked at that and what we like and where we want to be and the lifestyle that we want, we're going to have to buy something that's going to be $650 to $800.
So what's the game plan? You put $300 down, get a $400,000 or $450,000 mortgage? You're
not taking into account, which we haven't discussed.
Tell me.
I have an albatross of child support that will be going away, and of which an annual expense of child support of $18,000 a year. Okay. That goes away in 2 years.
In 2 years?
Yeah, in 2 years. So the amount of money that we'll be able to save is an additional $55,000 before we retire.
Okay.
With the amount of savings we put away, take some of that and no longer put into the 403B.
Yeah.
Over the next 5 years and build our cash reserves.
Yes.
That another $75,000 in cash reserves.
So 75 grand in times 3. Maybe you even stop doing the 403B now.
Correct.
Start
That's
saving that, right? Okay. And so what do you suppose you will be able to accumulate within 5 years if you stop the 403B, which I'm fine with, and build the cash up and then beef it up even more when the child support is done?
That's $130,000 plus the $80,000 in cash that we have today.
Well, what about you can't spend your cash, your emergency reserve. So you'd have 100, but so you'd have 130 plus the 300 of equity in the house or whatever it ends up being. Let's just call it 300 because you'll have expenses moving. You'll have 430,000 to put down, which would mean you're going to have like a $300,000 mortgage ish. Let's just call it a 300, right?
And that's the rationale for discussing whether I start taking Social Security earlier or we have the $1 million in retirement accounts that we have that bridge our monthly nut to be able to live the lifestyle we want to live.
Okay, got you. So when you think about that, when you look at let me just get some of the other numbers here. So if you were to wait, if Donnie, you wait until your full retirement age, can you give me that number for Social Security?
It would change from Social Security at 62 is $27,000. It's 39 at 67.
That's better. Okay. Marie, what's your Social Security full retirement age benefit?
At 62, it would be $30,000. At 67, it would be 43. And we're not banking on any of that. We're not planning on any of that until she hits either of those ages, which would be after retirement, much after retirement.
Yeah. Okay. Florida's happening. I'm not going to make you feel guilty about leaving New York. I'm going to concede that you have parents. So you said, Marie, your parents are both alive?
Yes.
How old are they?
75 and 76.
And Donnie, parents still alive?
No, unfortunately, they both passed away.
Okay. But you have a kid because we have child support. So how old is the kid?
My youngest is the one that's on child support. He's a sophomore in college.
Okay. Are you paying for college?
No, right now he pays for it 100%.
Oh my God, I love this guy. That's great.
He pays for it through grants, scholarships, and loans.
Yeah, but that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was the deal that we created. He had to learn that type of responsibility. And then if at the end of the day something helped him, then it does.
That's great. Wow, amazing. Okay. Here's how I'm thinking about this. I get the Social Security query, but I'm going to put it aside. I want to run it two different ways. So I think what you're saying is we save a bunch of money. We figure out, how to buy this house, 5 years from now, whatever it is. It's going to be more than, it'll probably be, who knows what the market will be. But let's just say that's what you're going to do, right? You're going to put your $430,000 down. Maybe it'll be more. Maybe it'll be less. We'll see where you stand. You get a mortgage, okay? Just get a 30-year mortgage. You'll probably pay it off sooner, but just get 30 years, stretch the payments out. There's no problem with that, especially if rates are low at the time. Okay. Then what we know is that you're going to need more money. Where that money comes from, here's our choices. We start pulling money out of the 403B or some of those pre-tax accounts. Why? Because, again, we don't know what tax rates are going to be, but let's say that when you're 55, there's $97,000 gross income coming in through those pensions. How much more do you think you need? 50?
Between 40 and 50, yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty good guess, huh? Let's say 50, because I'm that kind of gal. I like to give you a wide range. You're already in a top, again, let's talk today's tax brackets. You're already in a 22% tax bracket. What I would say is at that time, I would start pulling 50 grand a year from these retirement accounts and pay the tax that's due and live on that. And now we're going to do that until your full retirement age, right? Because Donnie, at your full retirement age, all you're going to do is instead of, you'll have $39,000 in income. We're only doing it for 4 years. You're going to take 50 grand out every year. You're going to have to pay tax on this money no matter what, right? This is a short-term problem. So all we're trying to make a decision about is when you're going to pay tax on the money and how we can control that tax liability. So my feeling is that if you start to pull that money out, especially because, you are going to move to Florida, you're going to be in a better tax situation, but your expenses are going to be higher. I would pull out the 50 grand a year from the retirement account, do it for the years until your Social Security full retirement age, you're 67, okay? And then you see how you stand. When your life is going to settle, you're going to figure out how you feel. If you want to know whether or not you are on track to reach whatever goal you have in front of you, all you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that is trying to maybe be your financial coach or your life coach or whatever kind of coach you want. I think that basically, even though Mark and I are both trained as certified financial planners, we do love that team model. And sometimes Jill on Money feels like a team to us, like a community. And we want to really make sure that you get what you need out of the community. And oftentimes when you put your messages out there, whether we read them as emails or you come on the air live with us, other people respond to that. So I encourage you, if you have any sort of question, concern, just go to our website. That's jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. If you want to come on the air, you can check that box. If you don't, it's okay as well. Don't forget, there's lots of content on the website, lots of free stuff to podcasts. There is the blog. There are videos, there are resources, all there right on the website. So bookmark the website, you won't miss a thing. Right now, let's go back to Donnie and Marie from New York and kind of help them to see whether or not they are on track. By the time we have to make a decision about Marie, I think it's going to be waiting till her full retirement age. Because honestly, by the time she's full retirement age, there's so much income, it is not a problem. In fact, your bigger problem is that you're going to have a big tax liability in the future when we don't know where tax rates are. So while you know where tax rates are, I'm willing to do two things. One, I agree with you. Stop putting money in the 403B, pull that cash together, get ready for our big move to Florida, right? And you're going to still do the Roth. That'll be good, okay? Then, in addition to that, you're going to have a game plan, which is when we start to move to fund the gap of money that we need, you're going to pull money out of your retirement account, pay the tax that's due, live on that, and delay your Social Security benefit. There's a couple of reasons why I think that's important. Number one, Social Security is inflation adjusted. So you're far better off letting that accrue and maximize that amount as much as you possibly can with that inflation rider so that you will then have streams of income that are guaranteed. It is like the holy grail of retirement. And so I think you'll find that it is a far better, if my choice is where does the money come from, I would much prefer pull the money out of the retirement account, pay the tax that's due because I know what the tax is going to be, and then later sort of go in and start the Social Security clock at your full retirement age. And let's see how you're doing, because maybe, just maybe, we're even going to do something a little crazier than the full retirement age for Marie. Maybe we're going to wait till her age 70 because she's going to live a long life. She's younger than you are and she's a woman. So let's statistically point out the fact that more money for her is actually very good. And I think that that's the game plan that works. How do you feel about it? I feel like I've lost Donnie. I feel like. No,
you did not lose me at all. It's look, there's arguments both ways on that. And I like the inflationary part of the Social Security versus playing the market on my 401ks and 403Bs. You never know what the market's going to do. And at that age, you're going to be very conservative with that anyway. One of the things also, that those retirement accounts like the Roth 457, Marie has the ability to do the catch up now next year also. So it's more than just the $22,000.
Right. It's $22,500 plus $7,500. Don't worry about that so much, though. Even that I wouldn't worry about. If you're going to do this move to Florida, we need some cash, and I'm good with that. Are you guys, would you be, kind of thinking about this in terms of it happens, in advance? We'll have to be watching what the market's doing and what's going on. I know that you have family there, so it's easier. But I do think, stay on top of this, and you're going to figure out.
We have started watching real estate pre-COVID and watched the market skyrocket during COVID. And I've watched it come back down. We like 2 or 3 communities that we've really pinpointed. So we have a real estate agent that watches it for us down there. So I'm watching the market go up and down. I'm kind of in that business. I'm in an ancillary part of the business here in the Northeast.
Yep.
So
you get it.
I get it. I know the Florida market's different, but yes, need the cash reserves to be up farther. So because we still have a mortgage up here, to be able to support a second mortgage while we're still working up here will be difficult, and it's not something I want to sign up for. But if it's the right thing, we would figure out.
Well, you call us back if that happens. If you find something and you're like, oh my God, I got to pull the trigger, get back in touch with us. I'd be very interested in hearing about that, truly.
So one thing that, in listening a lot lately, you've been discussing high yield savings accounts versus a brokerage account.
Yes.
And I would love to know more about when to use both. What's the main difference between the two? And should we be thinking about a brokerage also?
I don't think you need a brokerage right now because we are, for this minute, until you get, a lot more money in cash. I don't think that you're going to want to have the risk of a brokerage account. Now, you may want to say, all right, if we're going to start really accumulating some money, maybe of that $80,000, since we know we're going to put more cash in there, right? Maybe it's time to look at a little bit longer CD for some portion of that money because maybe you do want to lock in a higher rate for a longer term. So maybe you say, okay, right now I can get a 3-year CD, and maybe I'll put half the money in there right now because I know I'm going to replenish that money over the course of the next few years. The thing is, we can't take a lot of risk with that money because we know you're going to need it for a down payment. And if we are going to potentially, and I say potentially, maybe sort of kind of, that we are going to potentially keep an eye on the market so that you could need the money maybe earlier than 5.5 years, then you just can't really put that money at much risk. I don't feel comfortable with that. So I do feel more comfortable. Look, you can take all the risk you want in the Roth. That's fine with me. But for this cash account, we're gonna deplete it. So we got to make sure it's safe.
Speaking my language, I like it. So we have that money. I have it in an online, non-brick and mortar savings account where I'm getting 5% on it already. So
yeah. Absolutely. I think this is excellent. And I feel like you guys have a real path forward. If you have further questions or something comes up in terms of real estate, give us a holler back. But otherwise, we wish you well in Florida, but we're happy you're paying taxes in the Empire State for 5.5 more years. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you have a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show. I am Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst and certified financial planner. Mark Talercio is the executive producer. He's running things behind the scenes. This is the show where we hope your money is not scary and it's not boring. It is a tool to help you get what you want in your life. If you feel like you need a little bit of assistance getting there, then all you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. A form will pop up, and when you get that form, all you need to do is complete it. And if you just stop right there, that's your email, we'll get the email. If you want to come on the air live, then all you need to do is check that box and we'll get you on the air live. While you're on the website, don't forget, you can buy my book. It's called The Great Money Reset. It is perfect for people who are contemplating big changes in their lives. And it can be in any area. Maybe it's selling a business, opening a business. Maybe it's a real estate question. Maybe it's a retirement question. Just check it out. The Great Money Reset. Okay, right now, let's do an email. This is from Sharon. She says, I'm 37 years old. I'm single, no kids, except a doggy. She's a different kind of kid. $22,000 in student loan debt coming up for repayment. I am lucky. My parents have offered to pay off one loan, which is $10,000. I think it's because my younger sister just got married and I'm still single. That's great. Question, should I kill off the other one quickly or pay over time until it's done? Is there a better use for my money? Let me see. I just want to look at it's interesting. So let's just do a little bit of her background, because the one thing I'm interested in, I'm not sure she puts it down, is the interest rate on the student loans, but they're pretty high right now. But here's what she does. She makes $84,000 in a nonprofit job. She's got a car loan that is 5%. She owns a home, which is great. She's a duplex. And she's got a nice mortgage at 3.75%. And because of the duplex, she gets rent from the other one. And she said she spent, she pays about an average of $500 a month out of pocket. And then the student loan debt of $12,000. She's got in savings, $43,000 high yield savings, $18,000 in a traditional IRA, about $6,000 in a Roth, $52,000 in a Roth in a 403B. She contributes 10%, gets an 8% match. Wow. Here's what she's saving for. 2 new boilers, approximately $18,000. Wow. That's a lot. Mark, do you want to read the second one so I don't have to read that? Or I want to hear you read it?
This is a very common thing nowadays. Freezing her eggs, $7,000 to $10,000.
It seems like it shouldn't cost that much. Anyway, I'll do the next two. She wants to buy another house. And then she says she's saving for getting married. She says, know any Jewish matchmakers? You're talking to one, Sharon. Okay, so here's the question. I think that the issue is that I would normally just say, yeah, of course, take the $43,000 from the high yield savings, right? And of course, pay off your student loans. However, what's with these 2 new boilers? When does that have to happen? So I'm unclear as to the timing. So my theory on this would be let your parents pay off the one loan, right? You have $12,000 left. So of the money that you have in your high yield savings, your $43,000, if the boilers have to get done like now, just do it and stop saving for it and be done. If they don't have to be done now and it's just sort of like off in the distance, then I probably would maybe pay down, maybe I'd put $5,000 on the student loans and keep paying the rest and then keep doing the boilers. It's just a matter of timing, but I wouldn't pay down the car loan. I would look to accelerate the pay down of the student loans, but balance that against when you think you're going to need the boilers and the freezing of your eggs. Again, I don't know the timing of all of this. So if the freezing has to happen first, let's prioritize. Let's guess that it's 1, 2, 3, that 1 is eggs, 2 is boiling eggs. We're hard boiling your eggs. Eggs boiling, we're actually doing the opposite. So it's freezing eggs, boiling your oil, and forget the buying of the house. Let's say that we have $15,000 total right now of surplus savings to use. We're going to turn it back on you, Sharon. What's the priority? Do we do the eggs first? Number 1, right? If that's eggs first, and that's your 7 to 10 grand, and is the boiler on the back burner, then maybe pay half the student loans down with the rest or some chunk. I don't know. But that's what we need to know. We need to know the timing of this. Fair? All right, let's move on. This is from Nicholas, who's going to buy a condo in Florida. Oh my gosh, here we go. I have $150,000 in my Roth. You see, I have to read this very carefully because I thought it was $1.5 million. I was excited. $150,000 in my 401k. What's the best way to pay for the condo? It's $100,000. Should I take a home equity loan at 8% interest? I don't have a mortgage because my house is paid off. Oh, Nicholas. Do we need this condo? Why? Did you notice, by the way, that Nicholas writes in, I'm going to buy a condo in Florida. Why? Why are we buying this condo? Your house is paid off. Do you want to move to Florida? Do you want to sell your house and then buy the condo? That sounds like a good idea. You don't have that much money, Nicholas. I don't know what else is going on. I need more information. Before you start plunking money down for a condo, we really need to know more of what's going on in your life. And, if you have a big pension, maybe I'd feel better about it. 8% doesn't make me feel good about anything. I don't know about you, Mark. I'm always interested in these people. They're like, oh, I'm just going to buy a condo. It's not so cheap. The dollar amount might not be that much, but financing it, how are you paying for it? Well, I need more information. I do. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the hour, we want to remind you that all of our content lives on our website. That's jillonmoney.com. And as you are perusing all the different things that are there, the free stuff, the stuff that you can pay for, just know that the Contact Us button kind of follows you wherever you are. So whether it is in the middle of a subscription to our new service called Jill on Money Live, or buying my book, or signing up for the free weekly newsletter, or reading the blog, the Contact Us button is always right there for you, usually in the upper right-hand corner, for your convenience. Okay, before we conclude this hour, let's do an email. This is from Nora, who writes, "We are in our early 70s and in good health." Thank goodness for that. We have a great mortgage rate. Is there any benefit to making extra payments? We have been in our house for about 7 years. If you have a great mortgage rate, Nora, and anyone else listening, I can't imagine that there is any reason to pay it off quickly, especially with interest rates at these levels. I mean, this is one of the few times in my career that I can recall that most people are earning more money in their high-yield savings accounts and short-term CDs. They're earning more there than the cost of their mortgage. So, no, I wouldn't actually pay that off sooner. And one of the big reasons that we wouldn't pay it off is not just financial, but it also is because we want you to preserve your liquidity, your access to money. As we all age, having 1-2 years in cash on hand just for unexpected things that crop up is incredibly important. So I say no reason to pay off that mortgage sooner than the term is up, Nora. And yes, preserving your cash is always great. All right, that is it for the first hour. So if you have a question, all you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and then we'll get you on the air live, just like that. Jill on Money, we'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show, hour number 2. We are delighted that you are joining us. This is the program that tries to help give you a little lift in your financial decision-making process. And you know what? We recognize that each of you has a very different financial situation. It's silly to compare yourself to others, so why not get in touch with us directly? Just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Complete the form, and if you want to join us live, don't forget to check that box. Mark will do everything else. Right now, let's talk to Anne from Ohio. Hello, Anne. How are you? What can we do for you?
Hello. Good. Thank you so much for taking my call. I love your show and your books. I am trying to figure out what to do next in my life. When I wrote, I was deciding whether to leave a job that had been cut to part-time, but I have done that already.
Bye-bye, she says. Anne says, bye-bye, don't let that door hit me on the way out. How old are you, Anne?
I'm only 54.
Did you hate the job, or did you like the job? Like, what's the nature of the circumstances under which you were like, I'm out of here?
I loved some aspects of the job, but the leadership structure had changed, and it was incompatible. And I'd been cut to part-time, and I've also moved, so it's also an hour commute each way. And without the benefits and only 3 days and the hassle, it wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah. Goodbye. So my question to you is, have you had any luck getting a new job since you've leaving the other one?
I have not been looking too hard. I'm taking some time. I've only done music and teaching, and that's what I've been doing for the past 14 years. And we're building a new house a little further out, and my parents need some help, so I've been doing all of that type of thing.
who's the we in that?
I do have a partner. We are not married. We are talking about it. So that's in the question right now. I think right now we're looking at I'd like to make sure I'm safe. I've been divorced about 5 years, sold the family house. Kids are out and grown and independent. So lots of changes in the last 5 years.
Wow, very exciting. So let's talk a little bit about what you have accumulated at your age 54. Oh, and one other question when we talk about that. So you have a partner, you're not married. Do you keep all of your financial lives? Do you keep everything separate, or is there a combination here?
We have currently been keeping things separate. Little gun shy after divorce about making sure that if anything happens to this relationship, that I can still, carry on and take care of myself.
Good.
The new house we are sharing. I have invested some in the new house.
All right, that's good. So let's talk about, first of all, what you have in terms of your retirement savings.
Okay. So I have about $414,000 in retirement accounts, 178 in a 401k, and then I just rolled over an old teaching account into a regular IRA. So there's about 40,000 in that, 187 in a Roth, and a little bit in a TSA annuity that I got when I first started teaching that has just sat there, and I don't know what to do with that. So that's only about 8,000.
All right, but that's all part of the 414. So the only part that has been taxed, the 187 of the Roth, right?
Right.
Okay, great. How about non-retirement? What do you got there? Just a brokerage account, anything like that?
Yep. I have about 670 in non-retirements. I have 8,000 in an HSA. I have 11,000 in iBond. I have 25 in CDs. I have about 140 in cash, but we were kind of saving about 80,000 of that to help finish the house.
Okay.
I have 90,000 in Exxon. That was part of the divorce settlement, so it has a 1965 stock basis, and 407 in a Vanguard brokerage.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. You said there was you said 670,000, right? The Vanguard brokerage, is that included in that?
That's included in that.
Oh, come on. I was so excited to write plus.
Sorry.
That's all right. So ExxonMobil stock has a very low cost basis. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. And you mentioned kids. They're adults. How old are they?
One is 22 and the other is 26.
And they're doing okay on their own?
They are doing great. And Dad has enough money to help them if they need it.
Fabulous. You only got divorced 5 years ago. Is there any sort of anything else left in this divorce? Like, do you have any sort of payments that you're making or your ex is making to you, or is that not on the table?
No, that is on the table, and that's why I'm not rushed into getting a job. I have $50,000 in alimony that I get until I'm 65, whether I'm married or not, and that basically covers all of my expenses. So,
what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
Boy.
I live pretty cheaply. It feels kind of tight, but I can do it.
Yeah. But you got 50 grand a year. That's obviously taxable to you.
Right.
And that's the only income you have right now, right?
At this point, yes. So I was looking at I need to know what other type of job I need to determine what income I need to bring in to make sure I can retire.
Well, you can do this very easily, I presume, which is like, if you know that it's tight, what are your actual expenses on a monthly basis? I mean, it must be, I don't know, is it $4,000 a month?
I think that I have total with the taxes. I've been spending about $48,000 a year.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
And maybe you need a little more. So whatever you could all right. So that's fine. So it's basically, if after taxes, you're not clearing that 50. So are you spending down some of your cash? No, not at all.
The $50,000 takes care of everything, including the taxes.
What are your deductions right now? Do you own a home right now?
No.
Only income. Well, wait a minute. You have the alimony, and then we have money that is generated from your cash and your non-qualified account. If I looked at your tax return, do you have any idea what your adjusted gross income was last year?
Looking at my tax return from last year, my gross was $70,000 basically. The past couple of years, I've been plowing everything from my job into the 401k and just living on the alimony.
Tell us a little bit about the new house.
Well, my partner's dream has been to build a house himself, so we're mostly doing it ourselves. So we were figuring out how to spray paint the whole house last night. So
Nice.
we've hired some people for things, but mostly doing it ourselves. So it takes a while, and it's kind of as it goes.
Okay. And so where are you living right now? In a house that another house that he owns?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is he like, don't pay me rent or don't pay me? Are you paying any of the expenses or not really?
We are. We're splitting the expenses.
Okay. And is he retired?
No, he's 5 years older.
And he's happy working, making a lot of money, I hope?
He's pretty happy working, making about 90,000.
And do you think he'll work straight through to, I don't know, 62, 65? What do you think?
He was originally hoping to work till 70, but as you get older, the people at work kind of get a little less happy with you. You start to cost a lot of money.
Ageism. How dare you be old and know what you're doing?
I know.
How dare you? God. And show up every day.
Exactly.
Terrible. We'll get back to Ann in just a minute. If you have a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get back to Ann from Ohio. She's left her job, wants to know whether she needs to get another one. So this is interesting. It's a very interesting situation. Do you want to understand whether or not you can just never work again and just live on your alimony till age 65? Your alimony is not adjusted for inflation or anything. It's
No.
just a straight dollar amount, right?
Right.
Okay. And so is the question, do I have to go back to work, or how much do I have to go to make, or what do you think?
I believe I have to go back to work. I was looking at the Vanguard retirement planners. I was putting in that if I lived on $60,000 a year in retirement, that I would need to make about $10,000 more at least.
Yeah, I mean, the first number that came up for me as you were walking through the expenses and what was going on was 10 or 15,000. But, that's not terrible, especially because you're so young. I don't know if there's anything else you can do. You said music, right?
Yes.
Music and teaching. Were those our two things?
Those are the two things.
Can you make, $1,000 a month teaching music to pathetic little children?
I would have to see. I teach strings, and so band's a lot more popular than strings. But that would be one of the things I'd be looking into, or some tutoring, or just a hourly job.
What's the hardest string instrument to play?
Ooh, that depends who you're talking to.
I'm talking to you, girl.
I'm going for violin.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the difference between playing the violin and the viola in terms of difficulty?
The violin usually has a lot more notes to play, so they play a lot fancier, harder parts. The viola plays more of the harmony, and so the difficulty is fitting in and providing the harmony, and then sometimes bumping up to the melody.
Mark, do you think this is hysterical that I'm asking this? It just so happens my girlfriend is a musician, and I just asked her this question because she always throws the symphony channel on in the car, and I'm like, what is the difference? Like what? And she didn't really know. So you are now answering a question which I can report back, which is fantastic. All right. Do you feel comfortable being able to go out and make 10 or 15 grand doing something?
I think so.
I think if you do that, you'll be fine. I really do. And here's a couple of things to consider. So any money that you have, like you mentioned this old TSA, I mean, just as much as possible, we'd like to consolidate everything. While you're still just making 50 grand a year, maybe what I might do, because you are cash heavy, I would do a few things while you're still in this low tax bracket. One is I would think about looking at my brokerage account and see if there are any losses in that account. And if there are, you can sell some of the ExxonMobil stock, and you can take the gain versus the losses. Don't do it if it's just all gain. If it's all gains, it's not worth doing it for you. But it's just something to think about, right? Like, oh, you know what? I can kind of maneuver this. This is called tax loss harvesting. And you can do that and also maybe smooth out some of your allocation because you're very heavy in ExxonMobil, obviously. So that's one thing to think about. The next thing to consider is that, even if we have this 80 grand in cash, right, that's going to go to the house, that still leaves you 60 in cash, right? And the question becomes, should you convert some of your pre-tax $300 to something dollars, $100,000 or not into a Roth? I'm a little hesitant about that because you don't have that much cash. So I am more inclined to say this, that let's see how things go. If you don't spend all of that $80,000 on the house, or your cash starts accumulating because you're not making $10,000 a year, you're making $20,000 a year, then I might do some conversions. I really might. But I just would be careful not to deplete your cash. I think that having that 60 grand is a good, probably 50, 60 is a good number for you to have. Now, the only other question I have for you is if you do get married, you said like maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. Right now, the idea of you guys getting married, let's see, he makes 90, you have 50 and let's call it 60. It's not terrible. He's probably pretty close to a 22. The worst case scenario is that like you're in the 22% tax bracket. It's not bad together. You don't have like a massive marriage penalty. But how are you getting your health insurance right now?
Right now, they say I have 90 days to COBRA it. So I'm looking into, Obamacare or COBRA, or that would be one of the benefits of getting married.
Right. Sort of like a very marriage kind of thing. Like, well, let's get married for the health insurance. Well, you can get COBRA. How much is COBRA out of pocket for you?
They have not given me the information on that. I think I'm estimating.
I'm going to guess $1,000 a month, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was about 10,000.
Okay.
A year.
I mean, you can compare that with the marketplace. And you can check that out, or you can just go on COBRA, just have it. You have it for 18 months, right? And you can decide what to do going forward. And that way you don't have to disrupt any of your doctors or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's fine. Now, when you said that your expenses are about, let's call it 50 or 60,000, were you including the health insurance in that or not?
I think I can make it work, including the health insurance in that.
Okay. I like you getting a little job, especially while he is working. You mentioned you have a mom, though. Does mom require any money from you to support her?
Luckily not. So they are doing well financially. They just need time and help. All
right. What else do I need to know about you? What we've talked about a whole bunch of things. What else do you need to know?
So basically, I'll be okay if I only earn 10 to 15, that you don't think I need to go out and get an actual real job that pays about as much as I have.
No, I don't think you do. Mark, do you agree with that? Can she make, you just got to keep up. You have to keep pace with inflation. If all of a sudden your expenses start skyrocketing and it's not 60 grand or 50 grand, it's 100,000, then you have to go get a job. But I think it's not that bad the way that you've laid it out.
She doesn't spend a lot, and she's got, she basically has a pension until she's 65.
Yeah. I think I think it works darn well. Thank you very much. So, and you want to delay taking that Social Security. And I think that you're in very good shape. You really are. So I feel like you can do this. And if you don't kind of get married, don't get married. Just do what's comfortable for you. Okay. There's there's no gun to your head at all. All right.
Documents. I know you always ask about that. I don't have my documents in order. I do have beneficiaries and transfer on death on everything.
Oh, that's good. But you should have. But what about a nice will that says what? Like, right, what's going to happen?
I got the NOLA will maker a couple years ago. Is that worth doing, or do I really need to go to a professional?
Well, first of all, you obviously will do that if you get married. Okay, you will absolutely must. I would just I wouldn't mind if you have like the NOLO and it's like a placeholder, that's fine. You can go to like a local attorney who will draft a will, a simple will that is it's just like a placeholder. And if you, maybe that there would be a reason to do this simply because the new home will be in his name or your name jointly.
We haven't decided how that works out best.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that if you have equity in the home, then maybe that's something that you say, okay, the home we should own jointly with rights of survivorship. So if he were to die, you inherit it. And if you were to die, he would inherit it. And that comes outside of your estate. And everything else goes to the kids. But, listen, importantly, I would say that you also need a healthcare proxy. You need a durable power of attorney. So, if you have those documents, okay, it would be wonderful if you could just, ask a friend. Does anyone have a good estate attorney? Just, ask around a little bit. It's sort of a tighter way to do it, especially in a second relationship. Have you had a big change in your work life? Why not get in touch with us? Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are trying to help people navigate all the ins and outs of their financial lives. And most of that begins with your real life. So the financial stuff, the money, is just a means to an end. Don't get caught up in that. It's not important enough to start judging yourself. Get in touch with us instead. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and then we can talk you through it. In fact, that's what we're going to do right now. On the line is Heather from Minnesota. Hi, Heather. What's going on?
Hello. Thanks for taking my call today. I am recently divorced. Not that recently. I got divorced in 2022, so about a year and a half ago now. And my situation has changed drastically, as you can imagine. I went from a double income, kind of no kids, to just me, still no kids. But I'm just wondering, if I'm on track and how I can kind of ease my mind in terms of, spending my money that I have and continue to make, but just looking for some guidance around that.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Heather. For example, how old are you?
I'm 52. I live here in Minnesota. I'm fully employed. I own a townhome.
Okay, hold on. We're going to go. I'm writing down very fast because you're a nice fast talker. You don't sound like a Minnesota person. Nice kind of cadence, slow down. No, you're ready to rock and roll. So let's start. 52-year-old Heather, how much do you earn?
I make about 110 a year, depending on bonuses, but right around there.
Okay, great. And are you making retirement plan contributions right now?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So when my husband and I were together, we were maxing out all of our retirement accounts and all of that. Now that it's just me, I've slowed it down to 6% contribution to my 401k, which is what my company matches.
How much is in there?
My work 401k, which I haven't been at too long, is like 200,000, 207. I just checked this morning. Okay.
And do you have other retirement assets held elsewhere?
I do. I have about 470 in two Prudential annuities.
Were those purchased with rollover dollars or are they non-qualified annuities? Did you use an after-tax dollar and put the money into them?
After I got divorced, my cousin, and I love him, he works for Prudential. He suggested this annuity product for me. One is my Roth IRA that I had been making contributions to for quite a while. Uh-huh. And then my other one, I formerly worked for a company that had a, what's that word where you get money, not your retirement, but the
pension.
Yeah, there you go, a pension. Uh-huh. And they had us roll it over. And so that second one was that rollover from my pension.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think one of each, if I understand
Yes.
it correctly. Mhm.
Well, one is a Roth and one is a rollover IRA. The pension wasn't taxed, in other words, yet. None of that money got taxed, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. How much is in the Roth? So it's 470 total. How much is in each of those? So let's do the Roth first.
Yep. So the Roth is about 107.
Mm-hmm. And the rest is
And the rest
the,
is the bigger one. Yep, the
got
bigger
it.
one.
Okay, got it. And is your cousin who you love managing these for you, or
Yes.
or he just like sold it to you and moved on?
He's managing it for me.
Okay. And how comfortable are you managing your own money? Do you have like a brokerage account somewhere else or anything else going on?
Yep, I do have a brokerage account, which is about 31,000 in it. But before the divorce, my ex-husband and I managed all of our money together. And then I just made the decision after the divorce to kind of hand some of it over to my cousin because I just wanted kind of a second set of, eyes and ears on things. And that's why I did that.
Okay, got it. And so he's doing the brokerage account also?
He's not. No, I mean,
okay.
I'll ask him advice once in a while, but that's
okay. So it's the 200 in the current 401k, 107 in the Roth, the rollover IRA, which is also an annuity, 363,000, and the 31 in the brokerage account. What about money in the bank?
Yep, I've got about 11,000 in a high yield savings account, and then another 11,000 in an I bond, which I guess is not in the bank, but
close enough.
Yeah, have access to it.
When you purchased the townhouse, how much did you pay for that?
Well, I've owned it for a long time. Yeah, so it's basically almost paid off. I owe like $14,000 on it.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So $14,000 mortgage at some low amount, or what's
yes.
Okay.
2.8, I think, 2.6.
Okay. No reason to pay that off. What's it worth?
It's worth about $370,000.
And you like it? You're going to stay in it?
It's too big for me. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and I don't need that much space. So I think about sometimes, either renting it out or selling it. But yes, I like it.
Wait a second. It seems so cheap. Like, what's the like the common expenses? You have like some homeowners association or something that you have to pay for?
Yep, that's $285.
And how are the taxes?
Not bad. I don't think I like paying taxes because I like driving on roads. About $2,000 a year, a little over.
Okay. I mean, even though it's big, could you, if you were to rent it, you'd have to live somewhere. And it seems like that would be a very reasonable place for you to live. So what else is going on that you're concerned about that you just want us to know as sort of part of the story?
Like I said, we were double income, no kids. My husband, ex-husband made a lot more money than I did. He was the kind of guy who wants to work until he dies. And I kind of wanted to retire. I love to volunteer. I love to spend time with family and friends. But now I understand that my retirement is probably a lot further off than I originally thought. But I'm wondering, what do you think would be a realistic time for me to be able to retire? And then secondly, I struggle sometimes with spending my money. I'm a pretty big saver. I was in advance of the divorce too, but not to the extent that I am now. So I really have some, anxiety around spending.
Who can blame you? You've gone through a lot. When you look at your savings, or let's look at the other side, what do you think you're spending every month right now? You've got very low overhead costs with the low mortgage rate, which is going to be gone, I guess, in a couple of years. But so what do you figure you're spending right now on a monthly basis?
So if I'm not having any big expenses, like maybe a trip or something like that, I spend about $4,000 a month.
And add in the other stuff. I mean, is that $5,000 a month or $6,000 a month? What do you think?
I would say maybe 5 or 6, but I just got back from a trip to Alaska. But I own a car. I have a car payment right now, which will be paid off in about 2 years, and that's about $800 of it.
We'll get back to Heather in just a minute. If you have a financial question, go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and complete the form. Don't forget to let us know if you want to come on the air live. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that tries to take the mystery out of your financial life. Now, before the break, we were talking to Heather from Minnesota. She's had a big life transition, and she wants to make sure that she is still on track to achieve her goals. So let's get back with Heather right now. If you look ahead, and you're 52, but if you look ahead, is there any pension benefit that you would receive from this current job? No, nothing else from your ex. You don't have any alimony or anything?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I do have like about $54,000 in an HSA.
Oh, that's great. If you look at your Social Security benefit, right? And let's just like push ourselves ahead here. Let's go into our 60s. Do you happen to know what your full retirement age Social Security benefit would be?
I looked and I can't remember specifically, but I think it was around like 3,000. Does that sound possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What is the ideal time that you would actually want to retire? What's your guess?
Well, like I said, after the divorce now, I'm thinking I'd like to retire at about 59, once I can kind of access some of those retirement accounts.
That seems young. Do you have any parents that you're taking care of?
Nope. I do have parents, but I'm not taking care of them. And
so they're fine. Parents are fine.
Yes.
So let's obviously, in 2 years, the car loan is gone. In 2 years, the mortgage, what's your mortgage payment right now?
It's like $500.
So, it's so funny. So essentially, over the next couple of years, you'll have, it's not going to be $5,000 to $6,000, right? Because you're going to have $1,300 less because the mortgage will be gone and the car loan will be gone, right?
Yes.
So even if I said $6,000 as your what your spend is now, it's not. It's really more like, $4,700. Simple math here is that I would prefer, you're very close, okay? But I would prefer you continue to put money into your retirement account and keep that going. Now, the current 6% contribution into your 401k, is that a Roth or is it a traditional?
I changed it to a Roth based on my cousin's suggestion.
Okay. All right. So he or she had one good suggestion. I'm not happy about the annuities, but I'm not going to fight you about it because whatever. It's like, it's a done deal. I can't be involved in that. And that's a family dynamic. You're in the 22% tax bracket mostly with, your moolah. I think that makes sense for you to use a Roth. You said you're saving a lot. What are you saving? Like, how are you directing your savings? Is that the brokerage account or what's happening with that?
Yeah, it's mostly to the brokerage account. And then also, my high yield, like it was down because I spent $6,000 on my cruise and then I built that back up.
Mm-hmm.
But I really am trying to save $7,000 to fund my IRA this year. But again, mostly through we have an employee stock purchase plan that I get like a 5% discount off of our stock.
Are you using that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you stop doing that? What is with this market? This is like our second call today where people are doing employee stock purchase plan. I'd rather you put money in your Roth 401k. I really would. And the Roth IRA, you're putting money into this Prudential annuity?
Well, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it this year. What I think I was going to do, because I used to have my Roth IRA just through Fidelity. I was thinking this year I would just save that $7,000 and just start another one again or restart my one through Fidelity.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I would do for sure. The savings that you're doing now, once you get, are you back up where you want to be at this sort of 50 grand-ish level? Like between the brokerage, the cash, and the I-bonds, you feel like that's a good number for you?
I think so. Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. Because, your spending isn't that much. So you've got a year in the bank. Here's the issue. If you stop working in 7 years, we have 7 years of contributions, right? And that's fine. But then at that age 59, then you're pulling money out that it's going to be tough because you could really plow through this money, the corpus of this money, the actual amount that you have, say, and let's call it the rollover, the $363,000. You could deplete that pretty quickly. My inclination is, if you can stand it, at the very least, I would have you hopefully hold your nose work till you're 62. Okay? Because also, like, where am I getting my health insurance from? What are you doing if you retired 59? Where are you getting health insurance? that's like a problem, right? So it's one thing to pay for, I'll pay for a few years before I can qualify for Medicare, but that could really be a huge change in your cash flow to have to pay $1,000 a month for healthcare, right? So I think that 62 is probably more reasonable. Then ideally what would happen is you would live off of some of that money that has not yet been taxed. So you pull it out a little bit, each year. I don't know, at that time, maybe we can get rid of your IRA annuity, or maybe annuitize it and get the money out, pay the tax that's due. And then you have that, which is fine. Like, we'll live on that for a few years. You have Medicare 65, you claim your Social Security at 67, and I think you're pretty good. What saves you right now in this whole scenario is that your cost of housing is really pretty affordable. I wouldn't go crazy about like selling that, moving around. You got to, the mortgage is going to be done. The homeowners association isn't that expensive. It might be bigger than what you need, but I don't know. What are you going to pay in rent? Is it going to be that much cheaper than blowing out of this thing? And I don't know, might be just nice to stay where you are. We'll wrap up with Heather in just a moment. If you have a financial question, just go to our website. That's where all of our content lives, JillOnMoney.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's finish up with Heather.
So my job now is fully remote, which it wasn't pre-COVID. So I do feel like I have some flexibility in terms of, maybe moving to a different, I love Minnesota. I'm not going to leave Minnesota, but maybe a different part of the state or something like that.
Okay. I mean, look, if that were something like you said, hey, you know what? I can sell this place for $370,000 and then go buy something or rent something much cheaper. Sure. Then that makes your retirement picture even better to have that extra cash. Do not put any of that money in an annuity if you do that. You bought the annuities when you got divorced, like a year ago?
Yes, exactly.
These things have massive fees to get out of. So you can't do anything with them anyway right now. So you're going to hold steady. I think eventually, maybe in 5 or 7 years, you'll fire your cousin because you'll be able to do it yourself. You won't even say I'm firing you. You'll just say, I'm going to do it myself. I think that's a pretty good working game plan. Your cash flow is going to look a lot better. You can't spend like crazy. It's funny. You said you're a big saver. I mean, you're just going to feel better in 2 years when that car loan is gone and when the mortgage is gone. You're just going to feel a lot better. And so you're not going to have to freak out about, I'm taking a trip and I have to pay for it. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. But I think that 62 is more realistic, and that would be my game plan. And of course, my preference is always to make your numbers work. Working longer is better, but I get it. You've been through a lot. So let's see if we can make this work as is. Are you feeling okay about that as a game plan?
Yeah, I feel great. I was thinking you might tell me even longer than 62. So I'm happy to hear that.
Oh God, I should have. It's like that's like that funny story in, what's the name? Pretty Woman. Like he says, I would have paid more. And she goes, I would have taken less. Look, I think you're in good shape, and let's see how things roll. And you know what? You're going to have to revisit this anyway. Life changes. So we'll see. What about, do you have documents in place? Like, who's inheriting all of this money? Your sibs?
My niece and nephew for the most part.
Very nice. Very good. All right. Perfect. Any other questions for us?
No, this has been wonderful. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it.
That's the show. Thanks so much for listening. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and web king. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.